Hi everyone, welcome back. We'll continue on with part number 2 here on the Plains Hunters here. And what I did here this morning, I came in this morning and I just gave this another coat here of this. Matter of fact, it's still a little wet, and did the sky and stuff again here. And then I just came in and worked his face with another coat, worked up the body here with another coat. And I might soften off his features just a little bit. I have them a little harsh. I loved it. I found these guys. I just love Howard Turpin's, his figures. He just does amazing figures. And since this is my first time painting them, it's kind of good to look at a master like that. But I have my other one over here. But I just looking at his color, his tones that he uses in some of them, trying to get a general feeling of it. So down here on the palette, you can see where I was trying some different colors here. Most of these colors here, this is the burnt sienna and the white. I actually added a little bit of the medium beige to kind of soften it out. And in some places, some of my sky color to soften it out. And then as I went to my darks over here, it's the blue and the red and the burnt sienna. But over here where you see some of these brighter tones that I used, like on his cheek and stuff, here it's the red and it's the Naphthol Red Light and it's the yellow oxide. And I just repeated it. Put in a little bit of form shadows here into his shoulders and stuff. And I looked over to this one. I just really kind of liked that whole shoulder. So I looked into that for some ideas there. All right, so that's all I did this morning on that, is just work that again. I want to work all this area. I want to work the horse again and stuff, and see if we can get this done this afternoon, since it's not that large of a painting. Let's go back to like a number 10 fusion and flat here, and I will go in there and work on the horse. So let's take this guy off of here. But that's a great photo that's on there. And so he has just, he paints the Plains Indians, American Indians, Native Americans, like I said before, like no other that I know. And you can just grab some of those as for inspiration, tones, colors, and stuff like that. And yeah, and he does make prints, and I do have 2 of his prints. I have them here at the Art Center. But anyway, let's continue on here. I'm going to work. I want to bring forward the front part here. Yeah, that'll be fine. Of the horse, I want to go, and I'm going to actually add some of these flesh tones and stuff from the Indian, from the Native American, right into that. Look at that beautiful kind of gray from just the blue and some of this flesh tone here. And this is what I really like. See, if I add some of these flesh tones into here, the horse will incorporate better. The horse and the subject here will incorporate a little better. So I want to incorporate some of this. And, sometimes I pay real close attention to what I painted before, and other times I don't. But I look for interest. I look for changes. And look at, that's a beautiful, really a nice flesh tone gray that just, and I want to add that into some of this area here. That works really, really well. Let's come in, let's grab a little blue and a little of our medium beige, maybe a touch of our burnt sienna. This will get us to some of the other grays. Right, and let's restate first with a slightly lighter. And when I do things again, like when I come back into his body again here, when I come back through the horse and everything again, I don't always take out everything I've done before. I'm just adding another set of tones. So you'll still see some of the blue that I did over here onto this side. You'll see some of that in there. And that's, when I layer like this, layer colors like this is what I do. This is what I look for, is building like that. Now, let's go even lighter yet, and let's grab some of this white. We'll just take it off white. I don't like to paint with pure white. I like it just a little bit off let's put in a major stroke right in here that is going to be right up onto his forehead here. And I think I'm going to go, even though I love that brush, one of my favorites, I think I'm going to go down in size if I can find that here. Let's go down in size a little bit. Actually, I think I might use, this is that 6 synthetic filbert, and I did a little bit of his face painting with that this morning, and the small one here, but I like this 6 synthetic filbert. Like I told you before, I go to the synthetic as opposed to the fusion because the synthetic is a little bit more stiff, and it allows me to draw almost with it. The strokes draw with it. The fusion flattens out and gives you more of a blurry edge. This allows me to draw a bit with it. So if I'm going to do any kind of drawing, I do like to head over towards a synthetic. So those of you that paint roses and stuff with me, when I do that petal edge technique and stuff I talk about all the time, I use the synthetics for the drawing of it. So let's just draw. We'll work on some of these edges, some of his form with that, right? And I want to blur. See how easy, I mean, I just want to blur some of this. So I'm going to put this tone down, blur it out a bit, work that edge. Yeah, that's nice. Let's take this right back into here, get that nice dark. That's going to come down his neck. And see, I use this. This is called scumbling, where you're taking the paint almost dry and dragging it over. It just adds even more interest to it rather than a solid wet stroke. That's the old Dutch technique that I've taught you in some videos, the scumbling. Let's add a little bit of violet, cool that off, darken that off a bit. And we'll add even more contrast over here. I just love this, what I'm doing. And the great way to look at this is you're painting, areas of color. And, in the old days, they called it poster block painting. You're blocking in, but I'm looking at the color, the tone, temperature here. I want this cool up onto this side. And I'm scumbling it a little bit. Normally scumbling is light values, but I'm doing dark values here. So, and scumbling traditionally is light values, but I'm not always a traditional painter anymore, So I like to experiment and work. I love those tones. Look at those tones. It's like this deeper tone that you see in there. Let's take some of this with a little more blue right up here. Don't take out everything we did before. Just kind of draw, reshape some of those ears there and leave some of those other tones in there, right? And let's not do entire mane here or fatlock. We'll do the top here. We'll just give an indication of it. We'll work some of that a little later. And some of this tone down here, down his mane. And I want to put those eagles or hawk feathers in there this time as well. So, but you can see how he's popping and coming to life. And this is extender. I'm just adding extender. Not so much to blend. I add the extender because I like the way it makes the paint slippery and it makes it more transparent. Okay. So I'm not adding it for its blending properties. I'm adding it for how it moves the color. And so I want to reset that dark there, but break some of that off. Some of that other tone comes through there, right? Let's get a little more blue. Burnt sienna, maybe a touch of this red too. This makes beautiful darker grays. The blue and a little violet makes it even darker. See how it gets a little more blackish. So let's just come in, use the corner of that little filbert there. Set that eye, maybe a bit of an eyeshadow coming down that side there. There we go, just like that. Place right now, you can see how the horse starts to really jump off. Now I'll move way back on my handle like this. And I'm going to use it sketching, but you can see I can just lightly, that gives when you move back on your handle, on the long handle brush, it keeps the tip of the brush very soft. And this allows me to do a little sketching, but the tip of the brush is so soft that I impart it just very softly. A real light sketch. It's like going to a softer pencil as opposed to a hard pencil up close, see? So let's come in, zero in on the inside of that nostril right there. That's going to get a bunch of dark. Just a little bit of color. We'll come back with some light as well. Let's get this. See how soft I can sketch that in that area there. And we'll come in and tap in and redefine that eye a bit more. Right in there. Okay. Bring that forward. That looks good. Maybe a bit of the dark into his ear there. So you can see even more. Right? That looks pretty good. Let's add some extender. Take some of that dark, real light, kind of sketchy here. Some of that right down. And break this up. So when I paint, when I painted that gray dapple horse, in the last Western, and like the Appaloosa that I notice here and stuff is, that you can really use a lot of brush calligraphy, a lot of sketching kind of to really impart their colors here. And yeah, see how he just goes boom right off of that. Now, before I, that's some of the real darks. I'll put a little bit back up in here onto this back leg. So we'll carry that through. Couple of strokes of that real dark right into the mane. This is carrying the color through, right? And then right up on the Indian, one of the real dark areas that I put into him that isn't on that one photo, but I liked some of the dark right here, which kind of pushes his head forward. So when I do this, his hair and stuff, it's not a solid stroke. I sketch it on there and I'll pull through so I get some, see the soft edges and stuff that I get in there. That's what I'm looking for, that softness. Now, let's grab a little bit more before we start heading to lights. Let's grab just a little more burnt sienna and add just a touch more here and there. Soft sketch here. Right down this edge here, a little bit more on that. Maybe a little bit right up in here, right in that area. That's good. A little bit onto the side. That's pretty good. Now, let's go back. I'll just pinch wipe that brush. We'll pick up now. These colors I put out early this morning, and it is 3 o'clock in the afternoon now, so they're a little sticky, and I like that. I do like to, if I'm going to work on something like this, the final details, I like my paints to be a little tight, a little sticky. So I put them out a couple of hours before I go to paint with them. And I haven't done anything with it. There is sometimes I will do this if it's going to be long and hard, is I just mist it just lightly. Like this has got like a little skin on it. If I mist it and just leave it alone, it will reconstitute and soften up. But that's all I do. And so let's get light and sketchy here. Put on a heavier mark right there to bring that light forward. And a little bit of gray into that white, so it's not pure here. And here we go, right up like that, and work some different brush marks and edges so you can get some interest to that guy. So he's got a kind of a straight line there. I don't like that much. I like where I came back and just went boom. I like that a little better. And so I'll just do little marks like that. See, that gives, and push sometimes with that synthetic, see, it gives a different kind of look, a more natural look. And I like that. Let's gray that. So a little bit of this color into that. Gray that slightly. Let's lightly sketch into this to define his nostril. and you're thinking almost a little square here as you build this. That's the way I do cows and horses and stuff. Almost that little square, little marks here. Sometimes I do a little mark, I'll encroach right up on towards the ferrule, that's this part of the brush, and just tap the little mark in there. A little, and more defined drawing here. And then I'll relax my mark again. Let's just a little darker. Right like that. Set in his mouth. Let's put a little flesh tone into that. A little flesh tone. My big white horse, which I painted in one of the Western videos. I had him for so long. Such a beautiful guy. He lived to be about 32 years old. Big guy. He had a little bit of flesh tone on his face. But let's push that back in. A little darker. Some of that. That's kind of pretty. See, I like all those tones. That's what I look for. So here you see the blue that I did, the other day, and then because it's been a couple days. So, and then the other lighter tones there. That's kind of nice. And let's take this lighter gray. Let's put that mark, which is actually right there by his jawline. A little bit of light right there, a little lighter. Right there. There we go. And see, I can just touch that and work that out. There. Like to use the fingers, that light gray. Let's pull some of that down this way, which makes that side plane of his face. The angle at which you pull your brush is so important when painting these. Add a little extender. This is starting to get a little tacky right here. And so I'll just add a little extender. Let's bring this line in a little closer. His face is a little bit wide. My drawing got a little wide, so I'll bring that in. Let's lighten that up. Should come right by the edge of the light socket, the eye socket there. There we go. Bring that up. A little bit of the light coming down this way. There we go. A little more white. So I love that gray, but I'll just put a light mark in there. Break that up a bit. There we go. See, and I'll leave some of that and very, not smooth blended. I did his face. I didn't blend out his face as much as I could have, softening it out. So I want to leave this horse and stuff like that a little bit more. I just love you can work it with a little extender and blend it out. I wanted to leave this not quite so much. So as I head to some of my grays, I'll use my burnt siennas, little reds, little blues, and I'll just set up some softer marks here, couple through. So I'll set that gray in, and then I can make that nice eye socket there, just pulling in like that. So you get, a softer transition of the tones here gives you this feeling of this angle pulling down here. So instead of it being just a harsh line. So you do soften some of your tones, you do soften some of them. There we go. Let's, but I do want to keep, now I'm going to go just a little bit of pure white here and add that thicker stroke right in there. Not always the same where I put it before, but a little bit thicker. That's really going to bring that horse's head out. All right, so you slowly walk up the value. Slowly walk up. Let's pull down this way to give the side plane of that face. That's a little too light. Maybe a little extender so the color slides just a bit more. There we go. And you'll leave a few marks and see that, a few brush marks, and that leaves that side plane there. Let's take this ever so softly, set back on your brush, So the tip gets soft. Let's just sketch a little bit there and pull a bit of that right down that face there. Right down a little bit. That's good. Okay. Yeah, see how he's coming to life there. Let's put a, not pure white, just a little more color into it. Let's put a light little mark here up over for that part of his eye. Here. Pull that around. Let that eye go down into that socket a bit, maybe slightly grayed. Here, pull that down. There we go. So that light comes up at the top of the socket where there's the biggest, roundest part there. And let's take some of our darker grays here, get back into some blue, maybe a little violet, sometimes a little bit of the green and the burnt sienna here into some of these darker grays. We'll work those. I'm just going to thin out his face just a touch here where I think I got it a bit heavy. Let some of that gray come in there. That's nice. And then work some of that mostly blue, bit of red into that. Makes it real dark. That's just a little too blue. Having it a bit of blue, though, is not bad. A few dark marks of the mane here. Okay. There we go. I want to leave some of those grays and stuff as well. And sometimes some of these, you know, these red tones, burnt sienna tones, maybe a bit of burnt sienna into this now as I come up over onto this side. Leave a mark or two like that. He has his hair a little bit more fine, but I don't like to get too many little brush marks in there. I find that kind of distracting, so we'll stay away from that just a bit. So I could put that final mark in there. I think I'll increase the nostril here like I see on the photo here. Maybe down this side to finish off some of that shape of his mouth and lip there. That's kind of nice. I like that. Do I want to put any more white right up on the front? Let's see. Right down here. Now's the time to do it. Here. And this is where I'll reach into my, it's really kind of tacky, sticky here. Do you see that? That's what I really like. Because I can really lay on some thick, light color right in there. See? And that just, it makes, you get highs and lows of it, of having that thick, sticky paint. And that just really looks great. For now you can really see the white shine there of that. And before we go decorate anymore, let's put just a bit of that light marking back up in here. So what I'm going to do is kind of tap around with medium tones, light tones. See, and I'm getting this beautiful dappling in here. And so I work that, then I'll step up a little lighter. Now you can add open medium. Open medium will keep the paint thick, but it'll also give you this kind of transparency kind of thing to it. And so as you tap it through there, you get that high and low of the marks, and it makes him look like he's dappled up there. He's got this beautiful dappling. Sometimes pull it a little heavier here. There we go. That's quite pretty on him. Let's put a little bit of light right back up here by his eye. And the question is, even though you don't really see too much of a catch light, I think I'm going to give just a touch there. We'll pull out over that edge just a bit. That catch light might be a bit big. So we'll tap it out. Here, there we go. That looks pretty good. Okay, and so I'm going to come down here. Let's grab some of this. I love the medium beige and some of the blue for the softer dappling. See, that looks so dark here on the palette compared to the white, to what I used up over there, but it's a beautiful dappling here for into his shadow side here. And that works just really well. And then I can also paint into that little blue and burnt sienna. Here's some various tones. Add a little open medium to it too. Here, and so I can paint into that to soften it out. So I like to paint the light on and then soften it back into position with some of the dark. That's one of the favorite things I like to do. And then you can make medium values in there as well, so we can shape up some of his big muscles here as well. Here we go. Get some of that. And just kind of dapple him up. There. And I carried, well, I did it in Photoshop. There wasn't a horse like this, like I showed you in the first video. I built this horse off of a couple of horses. So I'm going to lighten this up maybe right down to here. A little more gray. Let's pick up some of the dark. And with that open medium, it'll stay wet for a bit. So as I'm finishing an area, I like to touch it with my finger and kind of soften it out a bit. But he has warmer tones back up here. I do like that in reference to the Indian here, to the Native American, some of that warm tone coming back in there. So I think I'm going to add that. And I made a lot of that warm tone, burnt sienna, some medium beige, and some white. So I want to, and that'll carry some of that warmth right down into the horse, which is, I want a bit of that carrying down to harmonize those tones between the two of them. And that's what I kind of like in here. So this is, so it's burnt sienna and a little medium beige and some white, and we'll just put a bit of that in here. There we go. Isn't that pretty? See that color movement in through there? That's kind of pretty. We'll add some of that back up over here. Well, and I went searching for all kinds. You know, they wrote all different kinds. Sometimes blankets, sometimes bareback. I went looking for all kinds of things. So I think I'm just going to put them on like a buffalo skin or a blanket or something like that. Back up over here. There's his moccasin. We'll work on that. A few dapples here. Those colors. And yeah, just kind of model your brush with this. And see, I like the synthetic for this edge. I can draw this edge here like that. I'll fix up his legs a little thick there. A little bit of that dark, which is his tail. We'll just put some of that in there. And yeah, that works. But you can sketch up, you know, I don't want my edges too defined in here. I'm going to let that just stay soft because I want the viewer right up in here. So I'll just soft and blur out a lot of this stuff, you know, so that'll work. Okay, so I got that idea. Let's put just a touch more light and gray right up here on, you know, they have that big, huge shoulder muscle, and this will help it bring that forward a bit more. I want that, even though you don't see it on the other shoulder over there, that one. I want that in him. I want that light coming down here. You see me do this in a lot of Westerns to build that big, huge shoulder here on the horses. So we'll do that. That's pretty good. A few dappling here. Just a few little dapples there. That's good. Maybe a bit of that light traveling up this way. Here we go. And I want to leave some of that dark so I can do those eagle feathers and stuff on there. I really want to do that. Just a touch of the light here on that side of his face. There. That's kind of cool. All right, so back up over here. Some of my darker dapples here. Some lighter color. Again, we'll work the whites into the grays right up over here. Build this up. Heavier, lighter rump like on the Appaloosa, and then we'll dapple it up. Spot it all up. A little heavier white here. This will help. We don't want it quite as white as what we have up there on the horse up here. And texture. I won't let it be textured. I like that texture right up here on this guy, because this is more this part of him is more farther forward than that part of him. So I may have the light, but I won't have the texture. If that makes sense. And you see it come back again and hit it again. It gets even prettier. So especially with acrylics. See, with acrylics, they dry a value down, so you think you got it, and then you have to come back and do it again. Right? So, yeah. So I'll get this a little lighter, model that up a bit. Here we go. That's kind of nice. Let's put some of that lightness right in here a little bit more. And see that open medium, all this is wet, so I'm just tapping and working into that wetness there, see? And yeah, so now let's add maybe a little extender in this open medium. Extender will make it a little thinner, and maybe a little more burnt sienna, so we carry a bit of that fleshy tone. And we'll just kind of dapple a few spots up here. Just the tip. This is why I like that filbert has that synthetic filbert has this springy tip, but it moves. You know, a synthetic like this synthetic is right in between the stiffness of a bristle and the fusion, which is very soft. So it's beautiful for doing quick marks and stuff like that, and having that springiness to it, but it still can have kind of a soft edge that the bristle brush will not give you. So stay up on the tip of it though, and you'll get a beautiful little dappling here. We can use some smaller areas out here, just a little bit there, like that. That looks nice. We could put a few more tones, like a little yellow, a little burnt sienna, warmer tone up in here. It just hit the edges of the ones you just put on. So a little warmer tone hitting here into a few edges. And around him. There we go. Carry that around. Yeah, now we'll... so that's, you know, I really like the simplicity of that. I mean, it painted kind of fast. I want to do more on it, but I love the simplicity of it. I'm going to build this light down his shoulder here a bit, just a touch more, and that will help bring out this shoulder just a bit here, like that. So you get a little bit, instead of being just solid dark. And let's put a beige, almost flesh tone right in here on this muscle of the chest, the width of his chest there. So you see that just a bit of light here, right in there. So you see some of that. I like that here. And you can, you know, if you get too much, paint it out with the dark, but I kind of like that look right in there. That's kind of nice. A little bit lighter than what I have in here, but that's okay. That's okay. Okay, I'm going to reset, not pure white, a little bit more on this edge of his shoulder. Let's bring that out just one more time. I worked the shoulder here because I'm about to paint his details of his blanket and you know, his buckskin pants kind of things here. So I want to get that in before I do that. So he's not quite as dappled up on this front shoulder, but I really want to bring this forward. A little bit of texture. Bring that forward just a touch. There, okay, I like that. I may have to hit that again, but kind of like that. And let's, if I'm going to put those eagle feathers on there, I might want to drag this gray down just a bit so those eagle feathers will show up in there. And a little blue, burnt sienna here, that nice dark here. Marks for the mane. Okay, so that sets him up. Okay, let's come in and work some yellows. Let's just come right over here, this nice kind of semi-clean area. Grab some of my yellows and burnt siennas, touch of blue, burnt sienna. Just got a little bit of a film on it. But I put these out, it's 3 in the afternoon. I put them out at 7 o'clock this morning. And I misted them a couple times, but now let me just kind of re-sketch his knee here and redo this area, his leg, just a bit. That's a bit wide from what I want to do. I'll just blur it over. I want to keep those edges soft and blurry. Let's, really get some nice yellow, buckskins, yellows, tans, the medium beige here, color for that here. I'll get it onto his knee, and then below his knee, you can start to shadow down. Add a little bit of blue and stuff to your beige and your yellows there, and it'll shadow down because the light's coming up from the top. Let's take a little light. Let's just drop that in here. Little light, a little yellow, a little beige. Model that on the brush so it's not perfect here. And just kind of pull across in a couple areas here. Back and forth to give him the look of his buckskin there. And if it gets too bright yellow, just come back over it with some beige through it. You know, I'm very casual when I paint these. Some beige through it, maybe beige and a little blue, which will gray it slightly, which is good. Okay. Here we go. But it's like I do the chaps and stuff on the other westerns. That's kind of what I'm looking for there, right? And a bit of our burnt sienna again, back and forth a couple times. And I'll put some textures right up here as well. This is, and sometimes on them, like in the chaps and stuff, I build a knee. So I do build a more textured knee and then let that kind of fade down there. Okay. Up onto the side, I think this blue, I was going to use the blue and stuff in there. I think that's maybe a little too strong. I was looking at that. I might want to go to a softer red that I used on the, I'm going to use on the shield up there. So just burnt sienna and a little, it's just a soft little decoration here. You know, just stripe it up a bit here. I want to keep it just kind of casual here. Let's grab a little burnt sienna. A little bit of blue darkens it down a touch. Let's push some of this onto the shadows here. And he gets these nice little darker edges here. So we'll just pull some of this out. Gets that nice frilly kind of edge there, right? Yeah. And then it'll be, you know, you sit back and you look at how much you're going to want to do, how much decoration. I'm going to put a little yellow stuff back up over onto this side, which is my buckskin kind of color with that beige. That beige is just a beautiful color for the buckskin. Here, yellow becomes more, yellow and the white becomes more of a highlight. The base is more of the buckskin. But so you get all this and you go, okay, I needed to have it, I need a little more definition through it. That's where I'll take like a burnt sienna and a blue. You use the synthetic brush here because it's stiffness, and you can come around and increase, like shadows through some of this. Add wrinkles and stuff through his buckskin here, but you can do some sketching and stuff on him. And that works out pretty well. You do that sketching. Now, I think I'm going to go to a darker, almost like a, I love them out here. They're the buffalo hunters. And using a darker blanket here. Maybe some of it just trailing off the edge here. Okay, so the feeling of a darker blanket here, that will work well and pop up against this edge of his leg here, right? Here we go. And keep this loose, rough. It's a hide, right? Let's just fuzz that just a bit, so I don't want to be perfect with it. And I paint quick. Do you notice how quick I'm painting? It's I want to paint casual and quick, so I'll go over some of this decoration a couple times here and reset it. There we go. Just very casually on him. And you can come back and highlight, like right where the light is going to be up on the buckskin and stuff here. You can put in a little light or highlight on this decorative band on his leg there, right? I want to build a little more yellow, some beige and some white. Bit heavier light right here onto his knee, right there onto his knee, right here. There we go. And then let that just kind of fade down there. Yeah, a little. There we go. Just like that. Let's just give him a simple beige, maybe a little blue here, moccasin here. Just the idea of it, maybe a touch of, and this is why I like the synthetic, because I just kind of do a little brush sketching. This is what I call the brush sketching, and it does a bit of the painting for you. You're just kind of shaping in some shadows and stuff like that, and it just does the painting for you. So not too specific on it. You can take more time, but see, I like the broken edges of it, and you see over here it's just really soft. I like the broken edges of it. So let's grab blue and burnt sienna, a little more on the burnt sienna side, and reset some of this hide here. This blanket there we go. Maybe because they carried back a little further, so carry that back, that edge back a bit further on the horse. See, I love that blurry edge there. Make sure your finger's kind of clean here. There we go. Get that high and low there. That kind of makes it look like the fur skin. But you can do anything. You could put an Indian blanket on there. That's all up to you. What do you want to put on there? That's all up to you. I want to keep him kind of simplistic. I want to bring forth his leg here a bit more. Here. There we go. A bit more. So quite a few times actually building that up. Each time building up some paint here. You know, let's pull across the width of his buckskin there. Pants. There we go. Tap into right up where that light is. Build up the knee a bit. There we go. And if it gets too much, you just put a little beige into it. A little beige, little sapphire. And soften it down. There we go. That works pretty well. Just a few touches back there. That works. Good, good, good. And you can just kind of move some color around into here. Maybe he has a few other little things around. You know, so you just move some color over there. Keep it kind of soft. Let's go up to the top band here. Reset that edge of that shield. I want to kind of set that, and I want to do a buffalo kind of on it. He has that dark, which I like. Burnt sienna and blue, a little dark, right? Continue that right around over here. But I'm just going to keep the whole shadow, the whole shield here kind of soft. Some of the buckskin colors right in here. Boom, right onto that. Maybe around the edge a bit. Let these colors overlap each other. And I was going to do a buffalo. And I went to one of the shields that had a buffalo on there. And they're very casual. You know, yeah, casual. I want to put some of the feathers and stuff on there as well. But I want to keep this, you know, I kept his face there very rough, you know, not too blended out. So I want to keep this roughness to the painting. So I want to be careful of not blending out too much, you know, so I want to keep a certain degree of roughness to it. Here, there, and let's take just put in the shape of this buffalo, not too detailed, just a bit of the shape, because this is a smaller painting, right? So we'll put in the idea of a head here, and then it goes back up to a larger triangle and then into a rectangle. Right? And down like that. See, it's just burnt sienna and blue and mottled in my brush, so I get a bit of stuff going, different colors going on. Here. There we go. Little idea of the buffalo. A little darker up front here. Go. Just like that. And you can put, you know, like that other one that I showed you there. He has a little light horn and stuff on it. You can touch into that, like a little light horn. You know, we can put the feathers and stuff here, which would be great. Decorate up his shield. Now you're going to be, you know, into some of the decorations on him, you know, just if you want to, like the feathers that we did on his, up on there, up on his head, you can put a couple soft feathers here. Pull in a darker gray or brown color first, and then some of the white or softer white, just ideas. Decorations and ideas. Yeah, might do that. And that's the thing is you're gonna. I'll probably put quite a bit more decoration in there. That'll take a long time to show. Probably everything that I do. So I'll just give you an idea, and then it'll be up to you to get some of those soft decorations in there if you want. you know, edges and little touches of color and shines. Look to, you know, go on to Google and just put in the, you know, shield, Native American shields, and you'll see all different kinds of things. They're beautiful. All different kinds of decorations. There. That's up to you. Whatever you want to do. I do want to put in that red circle around the eye here. Just the tip of the brush. Just kind of tap and around. There. Kind of leave it a little bit broken edges there. Not a perfect all the way around circle. Just kind of tap it. Maybe in some areas you can have it a little brighter. Little touch right in there. There, like that. So you can decorate him all up, everything that you want to do. So into these flesh tones that are here, see I put a lighter tone. And so much lighter tone. Went up to almost value 8, light tone. And then I put an immediate tone here, which is my red and my yellow oxide. Yellow oxide with just a little bit of the red, and then a touch of burnt sienna, and then lightened it up, and then the deeper burnt sienna right in here with a touch of blue into it, or a touch of green into it. Makes beautiful stuff here, but I softened that all down there. So that works. Let's do a little burnt sienna, a little blue, a little yellow. And put in this spear again here, just like that, and we'll put a heavier edge onto it. Maybe a little gray up there, so head into a little bit of blue and burnt sienna and white. Makes those beautiful grays here. Give it more of a, I'm going to get my painting stick here. Steady my hand. We'll put a, I don't want to get too detailed, just the idea of it. Because, you know, I was looking at quite a bit, of course, quite a bit of Howard Turpin's paintings. There was one that was just beautiful. I was like, as a matter of fact, it was the things I showed you earlier, and I was like, wow, that is so, how to get that all in there. Then I realized, okay, it's 53 inches. It was 53 inches wide and 36 inches high. Okay, yeah, like 8 times the size of what I'm painting here. So that's how he got it in there, more detail. So you sneak in, depending on your size, just sneak in what you can. Detail of what you can, right? Sometimes you can't get it all in there, and you don't worry about it. You just give the impression of it, right? And, you know, you can have some feathers or something down here off to the sides of it, you know? Decorations, stuff going off and around. Maybe put a little red or something onto that. Just as a bit of colorful decoration. Yeah, just quick marks, right? That's all we need, is the quick marks and stuff on it, right? And decorate up his shield around here a bit more. Some more marks. Things going on, right? Lights and darks, you know, and this is what I like when I do decoration, see? So, like, if you're going to put, like, the light line and stuff on there, I don't like to do it perfect. I like to do the broken line. I'll come back with a dark and correct something if I feel it's a little bit too distracting. But I like the broken line, so I like to touch and drag. The broken line just gives you so much more interest to it. And then you can come back and put in more detail, like onto the feathers. Once it starts to tack up and dry, you can, you know, start doing some more detailing and stuff on him. And I might do that on him. You know, he's, it all depends on how much time you want to put into it. But I really like him, so yeah, we'll put in just a bit more here. Sketching the detail with this synthetic is really nice. So I'll sketch up against this edge, get more of the side of his leg there, and maybe some lighter yellow, maybe touch of red, but some lighter yellow here. Right, like this in that dark here as well. Get that little buckskin, that edge there. That's kind of neat. Give the impression of it. I'm an impression painter. I'm not a realistic painter. I like to paint the impression of things. And so it's not super detailed. That's what I like. I like the impression. So, yeah. Now, so I'll add some more things. You know, we have, like, let's take a bit of the, you know, you can detail him up, you know, like I do on the other westerns and stuff. We take a little extender with this. Let's give him a little idea of his. You can have all kinds of necklaces and decoration, and you can put that into Google and you'll see all kinds of stuff that they have, and just really neat to kind of look at. I was going to look at those other guys. Where did I set them? Oh, here. So even on these guys, see, they got just some beautiful things, and braids in their hair. I love this. You know, it's too much for me right now on this one, but you can see all different kinds of decorations. And Howard, you know, you can just go grab some ideas. Don't copy him, but just grab some ideas. And if you have a chance, get one of his prints. They're amazing. And I'm just going to put on some ideas of decorations here. And this one has a bunch of teeth going around it on this one, but so I might give like that. But teeth or beads or something going on here around him, decorations, and take a bit of that out. There we go. But I just like the casual nature of it, or you know, do a couple lines of it too. You know, you can have a couple different things here. You know, just maybe some light lines pulling through something else there. And so a couple of them there. There we go. Just see, it's just impressionistic. It's like a double, you know, double little necklace and some decorations and stuff here. Just little touches there. Not, maybe a little bit lighter touch here and there. So, there we go. Just adds quite a bit to that. You know, but you don't need the impression of it. You don't want to be precise. You know, that just leads you down the wrong path here. Getting too precise. I'm going to build that leg. I really want to build that leg again. And then we have, you know, I pretty much like everything here. I want to build this edge of his leg up a bit more, a little bit lighter right in there. See how it's just lifting him off of that. And it's that combination, maybe even a little gray, burnt sienna, and excuse me, the medium beige and a little bit of the blue, just because it's a little cooler, a little different color. Oh, that's pretty. Little touches, see? Just little, it's all of those little touches. It's like, and one of the reasons I can do so much of it is because this horse is so dappled up, you know. so we can get away with a lot of it. Now, and I come back here now on his face, and I look at the width of the lightness on his face, and his is a little narrow right here as it's dried down. So that's the kind of stuff I look at, is, you know, comparing the widths and lights. And so I thought I had him really good, but no, he's off just a bit. So I'm going to take some of that gray and this light, so it's not pure white, and we're going to lighten up right down here again, which will lighten up the width of his face just one more time. Maybe a bit lighter and smaller here. So I'll pull this down a bit wider, pull a few marks out. That'll get him. That's better. And then it'll probably dry down and I'll have to do it again. You know, that's just the nature of painting with acrylics. They dry a little darker, so they fool you. I love painting with them because I can switch over to dry techniques, to value painting, to wet techniques. You see, and that looks, you look at that area there, it looks like it's painted with oils, you know. You can get the oil look, but, you know, the nice thing is if I wanted to varnish this tomorrow morning, I can, because it'll be dry, completely dry and stuff. So yeah, so that looks pretty good. That's not too bad. Bring a touch of this light here. So I'm doing a lot of this final work here with this. This is a 6 fusion filbert, and you also synthetic filbert, because it has that nice springy tip on it. But I did a lot of his face with the smaller fusion, but that worked pretty well. That works pretty nice on that one. There, let's add a little burnt sienna. Might have to get at that burnt sienna there. Add a few marks of the burnt sienna right around through some of this. Burnt sienna, a little bit of the blue, phthalo blue, nice darker, slightly brown. A little decorative trim here on that shield. That's nice. You know, so you can decorate up, and I like it like this. I like that buffalo. I don't like to do too much because he can take away from the rest of the painting really easy. So I like impressionistic things like, you know, it's that a little feather, a little ribbony thing. What is that up there? You know, up on top here. And, you know, he has a few little things on his spear. You know, just, yeah, maybe a extra light mark here onto his feather up here. There. That looks pretty good. Right? Okay, so let's, and so I'm going to take all of these. I will add the sky color, and then I'll paint these guys back here very transparent coming at you here. So I'll take some of this. I'll take the sky color, which is basically, you know, like the sapphire. You could have a little bit of blue and the white, and we lighten that right on up to like a value 8 or so. So we lightened it way up. So I'll have that color. I'm going to add some extender to it, see? And I'll keep that color right over here. And then, so as I paint like the white horse, I'll grab some of this, and then I'll thin everything out with extender, so it's, and I'll step way back onto my brush, and I'll very lightly sketch the areas like here is going to become the horse. And the more I work it, so I'll pick up a little more paint, which will bring him a little farther forward. But I let that stay very blurry back there. So see, as I bring in the paint, he's going to start coming forward. A little burnt sienna, a little bit of the blues, and some of the yellows here. You can start some of the horse shapes here. We'll just bring that forward. Very sketchy. I'm way back on my brush, just kind of sketching here. the shape. Let's bring the light, because he's a apple blue, so let's bring it down that side here, touch into that a bit. So I just use the tip of the brush here, a little more light. But make sure you add some of that sky color, especially as you get further back, because that sky color is what makes them disappear, the atmospheric perspective, right? A little bit onto this face of that horse, right? Some of them a little heavier onto the shadow. Got his leg out a little far, so you just take a little bit of the ground color here, some light yellows here, and let's just scumble into that, shape up that horse a bit. Scumble into that, there we go. So you see how it just, and you just slowly kind of tap and bring it around, and so but I keep all of my colors kind of transparent with a touch of the extender, and I just get way back on the brush and just kind of tap in the areas, give them, and just bring the shapes up. You don't need to be, it doesn't need to be perfect. It's impressionism. And you really don't. So I'll bring the ears up. We see that on the horse quite a bit. Here, maybe an idea of a mane right there, right? And, when I come to a larger area, this always used to get me. When I come to a larger area, like across the front of him, maybe, he has like on a buckskin or something. So I just use some of those flesh tone colors just lightly, and just kind of sketch in the shape of them, and burnt sienna, a little yellow with a little white. Very simplistic, just kind of a little round shape there for his face, Let's bring in, touch more light. And see, I just do small taps. So nothing is like, you don't want like a dot or a little mound of texture or anything like that. You don't want that, right? You want to keep it just simplistic. And it's kind of fun to paint them a little bit and then come back to them, a little more detail, a little bit more here. And, so got a little bit of burnt sienna left there. That one's getting a little too chunky up there. So I'll put out a little bit more, especially when I'm painting back here, and I'm going to go paint the grasses in a minute. I want the colors to be a little softer, a little more manageable, let's put it that way here. So let's put in a little bit of dark here for the horse, right? Yep. It's just tap and sketching and stuff. So that's bringing him way forward. And so like these guys back here, I just might leave them. I'll put about half as much as I'm putting on this guy right here onto this back one. And if you get too much, just take some of your sky color and go over them so that they push back, right? So they push back. Let's just give the idea of a spear there, right? And that one didn't work too well, so I'll take a little water and take some of it off. Make sure my towel is kind of clean. There we go. That's better. Nice. Just kind of transparent. There we go. And impressionism. So here's just a little light yellow to maybe say, oh, that's kind of like area of the buckskin on him, right? And little dark touch, you know, for the where the eye socket of the horse is going to be. You can go to a smaller brush though and put some of the shape on, depending upon how much you're going to bring him forward. And then start adding some more of your lights, right? Some more of the lights down here. Yeah, but again, you want these guys to disappear. So that's how I just slowly disappear them there. Okay, so we've got that. That's going to look good. I might do some more up onto him up in this area and stuff, but overall, he's not too bad. You know, you can put decorations like on the edges of stuff. Like I say, there's lots of ideas. You know, lots of ideas. And, you know, go to old westerns and stuff too. You see, there's lots of just wonderful ideas. But I like this. I like the broken edges of stuff, like he's sitting on a old skin or something here. There we go. Just like that. Now, let's work up. You see the bottom there, okay? Let's work up here some of our base. And of course, you've seen me use these before. These are my little grasses and brushes and stuff that I like to use. I'm going to grab some. We're going to blow through a lot of this dried up color here a bit. Burnt sienna, some of my yellows. Let's push some of this in heavier right around my horse here. You can use a little extender, but keep the colors. You know, when I'm working up front, I'm always looking at the consistencies of my colors, and I like them really thick up into the front, and then as I go back in the grasses, I like things to get transparent. So, and if you really want it, you'll want it thicker and a little darker right up into the front. As I go back, I'm going to add some extender. We'll add just a little bit of the movement back here, like this. Let that kind of fade away, but that color, so the color just doesn't stop up here at the front. It kind of carries through in a few areas, right? You see that color carry through in a few areas there, just kind of thin, so it doesn't stop real quick. You can put greens. You can put, you know, you've seen me in the westerns and stuff, put the greens and stuff on there. So that's up to you. You can put some of those there. You know, so it dries here for a second, let me go back before I start this. Let me just go back for a second and put the touch wider mane here, longer mane on this horse so I can weave in. I want to put those feathers in there, kind of like what I did up there. I want to weave a couple feathers. I like the red on his eye. And what we'll let that kind of dry up a bit. It actually works best if it's dried up a bit. We'll get this darker burnt sienna kind of color. We'll just kind of tap and pull the idea of his rein here, his bridle. Here. We could use lighter colors. Depends on how much is that going to show up. We can do it dark and then lighten it as well. So, but how much is that going to show up here? There we go. Something like that. Just the idea. Let's lighten that up. Let's go right over here. We'll add some medium beige whites and some yellows. And we'll just drag through a bit here on him. And I got it a bit wide so to take it, rather than, you could take a damp brush and take it out. But I'm just going to paint some of it out with my horse color. I like to break the marks anyway. I like that, I like the broken lines. So I like that kind of broken line bit there. There we go. And see, just the suggestions of this. Now, you can be more precise, but see, I like just that kind of stuff, the suggestions of it. But you could, you know, get out a liner brush if you wanted to and put more detail on it. That's up to you. This is the way I just love little bits of taps of colors and suggestions. I just find that I like the impressionism of it. Okay, so now let's, before I forget, let's give the little dark, and I want to be able to do the feathers in there too, but a little dark tip to these feathers here. Just pull a bit into shape. Yeah, see, that's kind of cool, just kind of rough there. Now, let's have some fun. So we did the dark, and I like that real thick stuff. I want to save it kind of edge. I want to put some more yellow in there, so I'll put out some more yellow oxide. Some more yellow oxide here. Drop this right down in here with some of my lights. Might have to get out some more whites. And let's just break up. Scrub it over a bit. Leave some of the dark, but we'll break this up. Scrub it with some lighter yellow, right up into the horse a bit, because he's standing in the prairie, right? Maybe a bit of extender, but I like to do it dry as much as possible. We call that granulated, where you get those marks. So we'll break that up. Let's put a few marks of the brighter yellow in here. Just you know, and some of Howard's stuff, he'll even go with like a little Diarylide kind of in there. It's just powerful and beautiful. You know, so but that takes a lot of bravery to do that kind of stuff sometimes, you know. So then we want to add a few darker touches, so even darker yet, like a little blue and burnt sienna into here, and just a few little darker touches like this. And for a couple of reasons. One is because, yeah, that gives the prairie more interest, but it also pulls a harmony of the color of the Appaloosa here down into our grasses, you know. So I like to have it. I like to have some of those marks. See, you see a harmony here of some of those colors coming down through. And then we can build some of the lighter colors. Now, I have all different kinds of brushes. These are only $1 or so a piece. And so sometimes I cut them like this. Sometimes I do this, you know, to make grasses and stuff. And they are a lot of fun. You've seen me, you know, I got a little tiny bit of white left here in this one. But you've seen me in other, you know, I've got a lot of videos, Western videos on the channel that you see me build grasses all different kinds of ways. And so you can go back and check those out. But I like to use these in different colors, and sometimes I'll put a little bit of blue or some different yellows into them. And I like to use these kinds of brushes here and just start building here, just like this. And I will come back and soften some. I'll use it all different kinds of ways. And each brush, you know, like this one is a little bit flatter, rounder, is going to give you a little different look. And this one's really nice. You know, when I have it cut, this one I spray it out, and it works great for great grasses up here into the front, right? And I can soften it with that. And I do this a lot in paintings. I call it the two-brush technique. I'll touch it and then move it through and soften it and stuff. Give you some different kind of looks to it. You know, just two brushes here. So, but back here you want to use your movements really soft. Just kind of scumble it like this, because you don't want to put a whole bunch of up and down motions, because you don't see that, because they're further back, so the grasses are only a little bit. So just little touches, and I like to scumble this like this, scumble it, because you know you don't see the individual grasses. Up front here, you'll see the individual grasses. Up front, as you come forward, you'll see more. So you want these grasses to kind of fade away as they go back there. Does that make sense? So as you build them, and that's how you build them there. So you got to think bigger grasses up here, and this is why we have more contrast up here, because my grasses are going to show up here a lot more, see, than what they do back here. That's what I'm working for here. That makes sense? Right up over the horse here. Right up back through here. Scrub it around a bit. And you can always bring, I'll go over the horse because I'll bring the horse back into it again. Yeah. Softer, softer, softer. Little, 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 little. Right? Here we go. But bigger down here. Right? It says pick up. You can even get some of that brighter Diarylide in here. That just gives you another brighter grass. Even some of this Hansa in here. Brighter grass up front. You know, just touches of it. Right? Here we go. Sometimes in some of the westerns I go, I'm not going to do this one because I want this very much the prairie, like this over here. But sometimes I would, you know, put ground back in with my painting knife, palette knife, right? There we go. Yeah, I like that. Just simple grasses. And you could go back in and with, you know, more detail brushes and do more things. Sometimes I'll use my, my painting knife here with even light colors here and just tap and run some of this light color through just to break up some of the, if you got your marks maybe a little bit too much, you can use this to break up, granulate some lights over it, right? And give you a different look. But the big thing is, you know, you've got to get some of those darks in there first. If you feel like you can't see any of your grasses, then you got to get some of those darks in there first. But, you know, as you come back here, this knife works really well. Just don't make it too contrasty, right? Don't make too much contrast. Just soft. That might be too much right there. See if we can thumb that out of there. Yeah, just like that. Yeah, blue colors. Very nice. That works pretty well. Little extender. Let's just lightly scumble some of that in there. I'm just going to go right over my horse here for a second, and I'll put him back in. But you see, so you can come back and add more dark, but I think that is, I love that one, so that one's really close to it. But you can work in reverse too. So I can take some of my burnt sienna, maybe a little bit of that Diarylide, which I like, and you can work some of your grasses in reverse. So taking it back out, working it back and forth like that, taking it back out. So that's up to you. It's a lot of different looks that you can get there with that. Kind of nice. Let's come back and grab my, where did I just, there it is. We'll set in, back up our nice appy front here. blue, burnt sienna. Bring him back up front. I'll just pull through, maybe even incorporate some of this, and then just let him fade into that grass, you know. Sometimes just just barely picking him up there. And you can come back and add a few little other marks, you know, to grass marks up on top, like little things to, so he sets in there. But that's just all about enough for setting him in. Let's give him his knee here better. There we go. See, I love this synthetic for doing this stuff and sketching and everything. He just sets in there. But I'll go back and work those guys a little bit more. But this will give you, hopefully, an idea here. And it's just taking your time and working them a couple times, deciding how much you want to have, what kind of decoration you want to have. I'll probably, maybe, you know, one of my favorite things is to do some of the decoration with the painting knife, the palette knife. So I might do that as well on some of that. Let's just push that in there. So right, you know, for example, I like that knife, and so I'll take like some of the yellows here, especially just, I like to grab some of this dirty stuff right off the palette, lighten it up and model it like that, see, and then I'll pick it all up as some texture, and right up into this part, just lay that right across like that, see, that, see how that just brings his whole leg and knee here forward, those textures, you know, just boom, just like that. And it's a good look. It's a good thing to, because the knife puts on a different edge, and we're all about edges, right? We're all about painting the edges. So maybe have a sharper little edge of that right back here, so you can use it. You know, I've showed you in several paintings, I use it to put in a certain sharpness or edges and drawing and stuff as well, you know, that I like to do, you know. So I'll come back in, even like in this, and like maybe bring out a bit of an edge right in here on that, and then let it fade away. But on that shield, because it just adds a little bit more right in there, like a light spot. You'll see me do it on horses and stuff like that, or maybe towards the end, I say I like everything about that horse. Let's just grab a little grays, though, a little warm, a little gray. And you might come right back up here and put a bit of that texture. Now, there's artists that, you know, we've studied here on the channel that just really do a lot with the painting knife and textures right now. You know, I've introduced some of these to you in some of the other videos, and they're just fantastic looks. And so it's just something to think about. Do you want to break up and add some of that to your painting? You know, I love the knife, and the knife just adds a different casual nature to it. So I like that. Maybe pull this down just a bit. Set that, especially on the Appaloosa or that gray dapple that I did. You can just get a lot of really pretty, you know, things going on. You can, but as long as you don't get too much texture, you can use this to break up some of the atmospherics on that horse back there. See how that just leaves a high and low and a sparkly, but you can't leave a lot of texture because that's going to bring him forward, right? So you can scrape it over the surface right here, like scumble it over the surface, and then soften it out, and then you'll see the you know, the, not all the definition, but you'll start to see some of the color variation in him, which is great. Right? There we go. See, that looks pretty good. little bit across so you can just give a little sparkly or break it up. And it adds a touch more. So even when you go up there and you're working on the horse or something like that, the edge of the knife is really nice. Something for you to consider, you know, in doing. Works really nice. But yeah, so there's some ideas for you. I'm not going to get too much more wild on him. I like that. I like that impressionism there. I might add a bit more of the, as this dries down, you see it drying down, I could have a few more little sparklies on it. You know, I might look for something like that, or a little bit more, maybe over here. Let's go darker though, but a little gray. Maybe over here, just a touch of the gray coming in on that side. Ooh, I like that. So it's just a feeling of the touch of the gray, so it's not cut in half. These are the kinds of things that hopefully I see before I varnish, but I start to look about my color balance and stuff. And yeah, see, I'm bringing that back up, that marking back up, so you see it over there a little bit. We could, even though it's not on the sample, like or say the inspiration one that I'm using, I could add a little bit here and there. And I need to, his leg is still a little fat, so let me just fix that up. But you guys got a good idea. So I came back in and I worked it again as softener. It's not as soft as it could be because I want to, what I do is I tend to look at stuff from 8 feet back. And, you know, his face, and, you know, when I started the second bit of it, I didn't want his face to disappear completely. So I left his features a little more harsh so it doesn't disappear. But let's just thin out this leg a bit here with this tail color. There we go. That's his tail color. There, that's good. And that will work. And let's just take a bit of the grass color. This really should dry, but I'll just soften up this tail here with a bit of that grass color right there. Okay, so you know, see, you can come back and shape up, and yeah, and I'll probably, yeah, I want to soften or blur this back edge, but I'll probably lighten up. See, just a little bit of that. Right, I'll probably lighten up a few of the grasses here. So I'll take some more of my more stiff one that's like this with some white and some yellows, brighter yellows, a lot of white. And I'll add some lighter little tips right in here. Push, and that'll get some of the little bits lighter. There we go. And you might have to do that a few times as you do this to make sure that you get some of that nice light grass there. You know, some nice light grass. There we go. Just like that. That's good. And I'll probably just add a few of the eagle feathers or something right in there. I'll do that, but I'll do that with, well, I'll let that completely dry before I go put those all in there. But you could, you know, decorate the back side of him here with some more decorations. Lighten up the back side. I could lighten that up a bit back there. Get some of this beautiful gray. The medium beige and the blues just make beautiful grays here. So I could lighten up a bit back here. Carry that a little farther forward. Give it a rough little edge of his blanket there. There we go. That's, yeah. So it's just, yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun, you know, going, ooh, I like that. Some point in time you have to say stop, but so this, I worked on him for about an hour off camera, adding the sky one more time. Repeated it one more time, and to get more depth to the sky before I went to him, and then worked on his face. And to be honest with you, with his face, I worked it back and forth a couple times, trying to find I wanted him to be a little rougher look, you know. I mean, he's a Native American out on the hunt. I didn't want him to be too sweet looking, you know. But yeah, oh, I like that too. But yeah, I think I kind of like it. But you know, it's, you know, as far as the sample, like the sample and stuff he's off of a big painting, so it's hard to get that little detail in there. But working a smaller synthetic, not a bristle, even a fusion, but a smaller synthetic in there, and a filbert, and I like the filbert, will give you a nice look. So that's pretty nice. I like the overall look of that guy there, sitting on that. I could have a little bit of yellows and some stuff, you know, more decoration on that skin and stuff there. But yeah, and you let it dry all up, and then take another look at it, you know, to see. I'm just going to tap a little more light up here, you know, on his reins and stuff here, and yeah, that'll work just like that. Good. So I hope you enjoyed it. That was kind of a fun painting. Yeah, I'm going to do some more. I you know, especially the stories and stuff that we have out here, you know, especially out here, you know, we're in the plains, so there's just some beautiful stories, and you know, I'd like to recreate some of those stories in the American Indians and the run-ins with the soldiers and cavalry and stuff, and so it'll be kind of fun. But we'll look at that. I'd like to put them with some buffalo. I always have one drawn up where he's sitting on. I have it drawn up for a long time. It's a big one. He's on a cliff looking over a steam engine coming across the prairie, and I called it Iron Horse. I have it all drawn up, but I've never painted it. And now this has got me kind of excited to go paint that one. But I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure that you click like on the video. That really helps us a lot, guys. So if you watch the video all the way through, click like on that video for us, okay? Because, you know, that hits the YouTube algorithm, and then they'll show it to more people. And then, yeah, and if there's something else you want to see, you know, just go ahead and leave a comment down below there. And I got to get my wife working on those. She's a little bit behind. So anyway, thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys on the next one.